Biopics are fun, and biopics are even more fun when they're done correctly. Biopics are naturally entertaining. They're used to depict a musical figure or any historical figure and add a little bit more drama to it. Not everything in a biopic is 100% factual. But overall, it's very entertaining, very nostalgic, and you can learn a thing or two that you perhaps did not know. Now we're going to break down some of them and let me know which is your favorite. Let's go. Starting things off is going to be Bamba, the 1987 film based on the real-life story of Ritchie Valens, starring Lou Diamond Phillips. Via Rotten Tomatoes, this movie would see an average rating of 6.9 out of 10. The budget was about $6.5 million, them earning $54 million of that back, and it won a Golden Globe in 1988 for Best Motion Picture. Almost 30 years after Ritchie Valens was killed in a plane crash, Lou Diamond Phillips became Ritchie Valens for this film and received widespread love and adulation for his phenomenal performance. As a big Ritchie Valens fan, I loved it. I thought it was good. Of course, a sad ending we all saw coming, and it was a career-making performance for Lou Diamond Phillips. The Buddy Holly story starring Gary Busey. This film's a classic, and much like Lou Diamond's performance with La Bamba, you could argue this one made Gary Busey's career. At the time, made his career. Of course, Gary had great movies after the Buddy Holly story. Buddy is my all-time favorite, so I could be a little biased, but I love the film. I love how Gary engulfed himself into becoming Buddy Holly, from singing to looking like him to the whole shebang. Think about this, all the movies Gary Busey's been in for 40 plus years, this is the performance that he still thinks is his best. This wasn't just one of those, here I'll take the role, I'll do it well, and then I'll leave. Gary's extremely protective and prideful of this entire Buddy Holly thing. I think one of the best things about this movie is Gary playing the role of Buddy and showing how stubborn Buddy really could be. Stubborn in a good way, not letting somebody tell him what to play and how to play it, and not settle to being a country music singer because rock and roll isn't popular at this point. I thought Gary's overall performance and the movie was really good. Elvis movie starring Austin Butler. Oh man, this one is controversial. There's a lot of Elvis fans that love this movie, and there's a lot of ones that have disdain for this movie. Yes, it's a very inaccurate movie, but I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. Austin Butler put himself on the map with this movie. He was a Nickelodeon extra and then became a massive movie star because he absolutely killed it as Elvis Presley. I enjoyed the story very much, from his beginnings in the 50s to him serving, to his comeback, to his movies, to his unfortunate death in 1977 at the age of 42. I thought it was a very good movie all throughout. I also approach this a lot differently. Biopics are never going to be 110% accurate. If you expect otherwise, you're going to be very disappointed a lot of the time. If I Can Dream thing was very inaccurate, firing Colonel on stage didn't happen, the Ferris wheel thing didn't happen, a lot of things in this movie did not happen. But there were a lot of accuracies covered in this film. They covered his entire life's work practically, and I thought the performance and the movie itself was great. I Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon is next, and it's my favorite biopic of all time. I adore this film, and I adore the performances by Joaquin and Reese, especially how much effort they put into it with training to sing for so long, and Joaquin should have won an Oscar. The fact that he did not is mind-blowing. These two are two historically great masters of their art, so it's not a surprise to see how good they were together, but Reese as June, Joaquin as Johnny, it was like a perfect match. It covered Johnny's young life and his eventual marriage to June Carter in the 60s. My only complaint about this movie is I wish it went past the 70s. I wish it would get to that point in which the 70s, the 80s, the Highwaymen, the last albums that he did with Rick Rubin, I wish it would have touched on those things. Jack's death, the audition, his first marriage falling apart, his drug use, his thing with June, I just thought it was phenomenal. Arguably the best biopic for a musician. And finally, we got Bohemian Rhapsody, the story of Queen. I'm not gonna lie to you, out of the 5 biopics on this list, this is probably my least favorite. It did extremely well in box office. Rami Malek did a great job playing Freddie Mercury, but aside from that, it just felt like it was dull, like it was missing something. Perhaps it wasn't going too in-depth about what was going on with the diagnosis and just the other characters, Roger, Brian, and John. I don't know what it was. I remember seeing it on the opening weekend and leaving with just like, meh, that was okay. Like, I don't think it's bad. I just think they could have told the story of Queen in a much better and bigger light is all. But I do think the Live Aid performance was phenomenal, especially the accuracy. I thought it was really good. Aside from a few high points, I just thought it was an underwhelming movie. Those were only a few examples of musical biopics, and in my opinion, I Walk the Line is the best. But in your opinion, what is the best musical biopic of all time?